He popped up somewhere new. Olive was standing in the middle of a large field with white lines painted on it. There was a net across the middle. She was wearing a little white skirt and a sun visor. Close by, two very tired-looking giraffes sat on a bench. Olive was about to walk over and talk to the giraffes when all of a sudden a ball went flying past her head, followed by another and another.
Oh, please stop. You're going to hit me.
Sorry, man. I didn't see you there.
Olive saw a curly-haired toad wearing white shorts and holding a racket.
I'm John McIntoad, and I'm trying to train for an important match, but my training partners Virginia and Wade are too tired to play.
Oh, I'm Olive. If Virginia and Wade are too tired, maybe I can help you train.
Well, sure. Do you play tennis?
I don't even know what tennis is.
You cannot be serious. This is a tennis court. This is my tennis racket. Surely everyone knows what tennis is.
I'm afraid not. Will you teach me?
Sure, I guess I could. First you need a racket like mine. It's what you use to hit the ball.
John gave Olive a lovely pink racket from his bag.
Now you go down to that end, and when I hit the tennis ball over the net to you, you try and hit it back, okay?
Olive swung her racket a couple of times to get ready. John threw the ball high above his head and hit it over the net. It was going so fast, Olive couldn't reach it in time. John tried again and again, but each time he hit the ball so hard that Olive couldn't hit it back. Then John smashed the ball really hard. It whizzed over the net and hit Olive right on the wing, making her spin around. Into the net, feathers flying everywhere.
I've broken the net!
Exclaimed Olive. John McIntoad ran over and stuck a long strip of sticky plaster on Olive's wing.
Don't worry about the net. I hope I haven't hurt you, Olive.
Oh, no, I'm fine, John. But I'm afraid I haven't given you much tennis practice.
Olive looked around and suddenly thought of something.
Some feathers. A ball? Some sticky plasters? I think I may have an idea.
Olive picked up one of the balls and carefully started to stick feathers to the ball with the sticky plasters. Next, she asked Virginia and Wade to hold up the net.
Oh, that's a bit higher than before.
Once the net was in position, John tossed the feather-covered ball above his head and hit it over the net. With the feathers on it, the ball was now going slower and Olive could reach it. She hit the ball back this time to John.
This is what we call a rally,
said John, hitting the ball back to Olive. Olive and John hit the ball back and forth, high and low, fast and slow. They played the tennis rally all afternoon until eventually John hit the ball too low and it landed in the net.
Ugh, I think that's enough practice for one day,
said John, breathing heavily and looking exhausted.
Thanks for the game, although I'm not sure I'm really very good at tennis.
Well, you were amazing at featherball. You've invented a whole new game.
Have I? Oh, let's hope it doesn't catch on. I don't want to lose any more feathers.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again,
said her mum.
Actually, I invented a new game called Featherball.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear,
said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Popped up somewhere new. She could hear some tinkly music. It was coming from a little white van that was parked nearby, and Olive could see all sorts of things inside the van.
Oh, those look tasty,
exclaimed Olive. Olive was wearing a white overall and a special paper hat. She could hear strange grunts coming from inside the van.
Hello? Are you all right?
asked Olive, and she reached in through the window to help. Up popped a very cold lady.
Thanks,
shivered the lady.
I'm Millie Vanilla.
I'm Olive. Pleased to meet you. Oh, you're cold. You need to warm up.
Oh, no. If I do that, my ice cream will melt, and I need it for a birthday party.
Ice cream?
Yes. It's a very tasty treat, and I don't want to boast, but my ice cream is the very best.
She reached into the freezer and scooped some ice cream into a cornet for Olive to taste.
I add a secret ingredient,
whispered Millie, and she stuck a stick of chocolate on top. Olive licked the ice cream.
It's very tasty.
Like I said, the very best. Now I mustn't be late for the party. Would you like to help me?
Oh, yes, please.
Olive jumped into the van and they drove off. They were nearly there when Olive heard a bang. The van stopped with such a bump that all the chocolate sticks fell out of the window. Olive and Millie got out to see what was wrong. One of the tyres was completely flat.
All the air's leaked out.
But Millie was more worried about the big brown puddle on the ground.
What's worse, all my chocolate sticks have melted in the sun. What am I going to do?
At least we still have the ice cream.
But how can I get to the party with a hole in my tyre?
Olive looked through the ice cream van window and saw the cornets and cherries.
Cornets? Cherries? I think I may have an idea.
She bit the end off a cornet and stuck it in the hole in the tyre. Then she scooped up the melted chocolate and poured it in through the hole. When the tyre was full, Olive plugged the hole with a cherry.
Oh, good as new. Thanks, Olive.
And so, with the tyre fixed, they drove to the party. The children cheered as Olive and Millie handed out ice cream cornets, but the birthday boy looked puzzled.
Where's my chocolate stick?
He asked. Millie began to sniffle.
He only likes ice cream with a chocolate stick stuck in it.
Well, never mind.
Olive told the boy.
This is the very best ice cream.
Not without the chocolate stick, it isn't.
He noticed the mended tyre.
Hey, if I can't have a chocolate stick, can I have that cherry?
Oh, not that one.
Cried Olive. But before Olive could stop him, the boy pulled the cherry out of the tyre. Chocolate sprayed out of the hole, splashing everyone and everything.
Oh, no.
Said Olive. But then she heard the birthday boy laughing.
Hey, this chocolate tastes amazing. In fact, this is the very best chocolate in the world.
Surprised, Olive and Millie tasted their ice creams. Yum!
Yum.
I don't want to boast, but he's right.
Boasted Millie.
Which makes this the very best ice cream in the world.
Everyone laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I made the very best ice cream in the world.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Popped up somewhere new. Olive was standing in a room with lots of metal boxes making strange whirring noises. There were huge piles of clothes everywhere, and she was wearing blue overalls. Just then, a sock flew out of one of the piles, narrowly missing Olive's head. Exclaimed Olive.
Oh, I didn't see you there.
Said a small man who'd appeared from behind a mountain of clothes.
I'm Dudley Sud. It's a pleasure to meet you.
He shook Olive's wing enthusiastically.
I'm Olive. Nice to meet you too. What are all these piles of clothes?
Laundry, of course. This is Dudley Sud's laundrette, and we have way too much laundry to do today. Problem is, it's all very important. We must wash all the tablecloths for Pedro's Pizza Parlour, then wash all the towels for Humphrey's Hotel, and then wash all the football kits for the Wixley Wanderers Football Club. It all needs to be delivered by 5 o'clock, and it's already 3:30. Oh!
Well, we'd better get started then.
Dudley showed Olive how to operate the machines.
You put the laundry in here, pour in the soap powder, and turn the dial like this.
Got it.
Said Olive confidently. They both worked quickly, loading the machines and setting them going. Olive thought she would pour in a little extra washing powder to get the job done quickly. It all seemed to be going very smoothly. But then, all of a sudden, bubbles started to pour out of one of the machines.
Oh dear, that's not right.
Exclaimed Dudley, shaking his head.
Olive, you must have put too much washing powder into the machines.
The bubbles began to form a puddle on the floor until eventually they covered the whole shop and were still rising. Soon Dudley and Olive were up to their necks in bubbles.
Oh no, what are we going to do?
Olive spotted some round metal things poking down from the ceiling.
What are those for?
Those are sprinklers. They spray water all over the place if there's a fire.
Some sprinklers that spray water all over the place? I think I may have an idea.
Olive pressed a big red button on the wall to turn the sprinklers on. Water sprayed out everywhere.
Oh no, what have you done now, Olive? You're going to flood me laundrette.
That's the idea, Dudley. Now open that door.
Dudley opened the door. The bubbles flooded out of the door and into the street. Olive's plan was working. But there was a problem. All the tablecloths, towels and football kits were disappearing out of the laundrette and down the street, along with the bubbles.
Stop that laundry!
Shouted Dudley as he and Olive chased the bubbles and the laundry down the street. They chased the laundry past Pedro's pizza parlour,
Tablecloths,
then on past Humphrey's Hotel,
towels.
then finally past Wixley Wanderers Football Club,
Well, I never.
said Dudley as he inspected the football kits hanging on the goal.
That was a bit of luck.
Yes.
Said Olive, pointing down the street.
And we delivered all the laundry in time.
Dudley beamed.
Thank you, Olive. I couldn't have done this without you.
Working in a laundrette's loads of fun, but it's really hard. I'm feeling all washed out.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been working in a fabulous laundrette.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Olive is an ostrich. She lives with her family in the outback. But Olive is very different. Olive's dad loves to run. Olive isn't a fast runner. Olive's mum enjoys laying huge eggs. Olive doesn't like the look of that at all. Olive's little brother pecks at the ground to find tasty roots to eat. Pecking at the ground makes Olive sneeze. But Olive has an incredible imagination. So while the rest of her family are running, pecking and laying eggs, Olive can be found imagining herself going on amazing adventures when she buries her head down, down into the sand.
Olive the Ostrich! Olive the Ostrich! Olive the Ostrich!
Until she popped up somewhere new. Olive was in a big room surrounded by tall shelves full of books. It was very quiet,
Where am I?
said Olive rather loudly.
Shh! Be quiet, please. You're in a library.
A face peered out from behind one of the bookshelves. It was a little red squirrel with a big bushy tail.
Oh, sorry.
Olive whispered.
I'm Olive. Why is it so quiet in this library?
Because it's a place where you come to read or borrow books. It's best to have quiet when you're trying to read. I'm Henry Huckleberry, and I love to read.
Oh, me too.
Trouble is, I can't find my favourite book anywhere.
What's it called?
It's a big yellow book called Attack of the Mutant Space Frogs. It's really awesome.
It was then Olive and Henry heard someone muttering.
Oh dear, oh dear.
They peered behind a shelf and saw a little red-faced bookworm putting books back on the shelves.
Oh dear, oh bother.
Excuse me.
Whispered Olive.
What? What is it? I'm very busy, you know.
We're looking for a book. Wilfred, it's called Attack of the Mutant...
Sorry, I haven't got time to find your book. I've got all these books to put back on the shelves. Too much to do. Got to go.
Henry sighed.
This place is such a mess. My book could be anywhere.
Wait.
Said Olive.
Look, there's a yellow book on the top of that tall shelf.
Oh, yes, that's Attack of the Mutant Space Frogs. But we're never going to reach it way up there.
Lots of books that can be piled up really high. I think I may have an idea.
Henry and Olive stacked the books higher and higher until the pile almost touched the ceiling.
There. We'll have your book down in no time.
Olive began to climb the stack of books, but as Olive climbed higher, the books became more and more wobbly.
Be careful, Olive.
Whispered Henry. Finally, Olive got to the top. She had to lean over to grab Henry's book with her beak, but then the stack of the books really started to wobble. Olive couldn't keep her balance anymore. And then the whole stack collapsed. The books came tumbling down into a huge heap, burying Olive and Henry.
Oops.
Said Olive. Wilfred came rushing over.
Shh! What is this terrible mess?
Sorry, we were just trying to get my favourite book from the top shelf, and it all went horribly wrong.
We can help you put all these books back on the shelves, Wilfred.
Well, yes, I suppose that would be very helpful.
So Olive, Henry and Wilfred put all the books back onto the shelves. Finally, there was just one book left.
Wow! Attack of the Mutant Space Frogs. I've been looking for this book for ages. It's my favourite.
Wow, mine too.
Beamed Henry.
Why don't we read it together?
Yes! Great idea!
Shouted Wilfred.
Shush!
Shushed Olive and Henry.
Sorry,
Whispered Wilfred.
I should really keep my voice down. This is a library, don't you know?
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay. Actually, I helped find Attack of the Mutant Space Frogs.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Till she popped up somewhere new. Olive could see a big sloping ramp in front of her and hundreds of empty seats all around.
Oh, I wonder what this slopey thing is for.
Olive heard a strange buzzing noise.
Oh,
A man on a motorbike was flying through the air towards her. He had to swerve to miss Olive and crashed into a pile of tyres.
oh, hey, are you all right?
I think so.
The motorbike rider was wearing a sparkly cloak and a helmet.
My name's Darren. Daredevil Darren. I'm the world's greatest stunt rider.
Nice to meet you, Darren. I'm Olive. Sorry for knocking you off your motorbike. I didn't see you coming.
That's all right. I was just practicing a jump for my show tonight. There are hundreds of my fans coming. Ouch! But I think I've hurt my hand, and I can't steer my motorbike if my hand hurts.
Well, maybe I could do the jump for you.
But my fans have come to see Daredevil Darren. I can't let them down.
Olive spotted a stall selling Daredevil Darren souvenirs.
A helmet? A cloak? I think I may have an idea. I'll hide under this cloak and steer the bike, and you can sit on my back. The audience will think you're doing the jump on your own.
Darren thought it was a great plan.
What can possibly go wrong?
It was time for the big jump. The crowd were cheering for Daredevil Darren. Olive was hiding under Darren's cloak. The crowd counted them down.
3, 2, 1, go!
Olive hit the pedal, and they were off. Olive and Darren sped towards the jump. But then the motorbike wobbled, and the cloak got tangled in the back wheel. And Darren was pulled off the bike.
This isn't good!
Cried Olive. The crowd weren't happy when they saw Olive was riding the bike and not Darren. Olive screamed as she flew off the end of the ramp. She jumped high in the air and crashed into a banner. She was flung through a ring of fire, over a tank of snapping crocodiles, and then over a double-decker bus. Olive somersaulted 3 more times on the bike before landing safely on the ramp.
That was a close one.
Oh, that was amazing.
Darren exclaimed.
Listen, the crowd love you.
Really?
Olive replied. The crowd thought Olive's bike stunt was brilliant,
I'm just glad to have my feet back on the ground.
said Olive.
I don't think flying's for me.
Olive and Darren waved to the audience and laughed. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I rode a stunt bike with Daredevil Darren.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Popped up somewhere new. Olive was standing next to a bubbling waterfall. She was wearing heavy chainmail and a knight's helmet.
Ooh.
Just then, Olive heard a loud noise.
Oh, that sounds painful.
Out of nowhere leapt a huge dragon wearing an orange headband. He swished his enormous tail this way and that. It was all very impressive.
Welcome.
I'm Olive. Who are you?
I am Claude Van Doom, student of Dragon Fu.
What's dragon flu?
I will show you.
With this, Claude showed Olive some of his best dragon fu moves.
Very good flu, Claude.
I hope my examiner agrees. I am taking the final part of my Dragon Fu exam today. If I pass, my dream to become a Dragon Fu master will come true.
What do you have to do?
I will show you.
With this, Claude took a deep breath and blew as hard as he could towards a nearby tree. Flames shot from his mouth and set the tree on fire in an instant. Whoosh!
The exam subject is an impressive display of fire breathing.
I think you should put that fire out, Claude.
Olive saw the bubbling waterfall behind her.
Quick, Claude. Use the water to put out the fire.
Claude plunged his head into the bubbling water, quickly gulping it down before blowing the lot onto the flaming tree.
Well done, Claude. You put the fire out.
But Claude didn't look very happy. Claude tried to breathe fire, but bubbles poured out from his mouth instead.
Oh, this is a disaster. How will I pass my exam in fire breathing if I am breathing bubbles?
Olive thought. She looked down at her chainmail and plucked one of the wires free.
A wire? Bubbles? I think I may have an idea.
Olive started to pull and twist the wires into different shapes, just as Claude's examiner arrived to start the test.
So, Mr. Van Doom, I hope you're ready to impress me with your fire breathing.
Claude looked at Olive and gulped.
Yes, he is, Mr. Examiner.
I'll be the judge of that, thank you.
The examiner watched as Claude took a deep breath and started to blow bubbles from his mouth instead of fire.
Oh, dear.
Said the examiner, unimpressed.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
But then the bubbles squeezed through the wire shapes Olive had made and formed a huge spider, a knight, even an elephant.
Well, I need something more impressive than that.
Claude took a deep breath and blew a massive bubble right at the examiner. It surrounded him, and before he knew it, he was floating up in the air inside the bubble.
Oh, I'm floating. Oh, Claude, your display of bubble breathing is more impressive than any fire breathing. Here's your certificate.
Oh, Claude, you passed.
Thank you, Olive, for all your help. With a little practice, you too could master Dragon Fu.
Really?
With this, Olive Dragon Fu chopped a tree, sending lots of fruit falling down on top of her.
Ouch! No, I think I'll stick to looking at trees, not dragon fooing them.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been blowing bubbles with a dragon.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. until she popped up somewhere new. Olive's feet were buried in soft yellow sand. It was very hot and sunny,
Where am I?
said Olive. She could see 3 huge triangular-shaped buildings in the distance. Olive was so busy looking at the pyramids, she didn't notice the huge hole in the ground and fell right in. Olive picked herself up. There was someone in the middle of the hole, digging deeper and deeper into the sand.
Hello? Hello?
Called Olive. The digging stopped, and a small mole popped his head up and squinted at Olive.
Hello? Who's there? I cannot see you.
Complained the mole.
Hello, I'm Olive. Nice to meet you.
I'm Horace Molius, archaeologist extraordinaire. Welcome to Egypt.
Egypt? How exciting! But what's an archaeologist?
An archaeologist is a discoverer of old things hidden underground, but today I'm just trying to find my mummy.
Explained Horace.
Oh, I've heard about these ancient Egyptian mummies that have been buried in the sand for thousands of years. I'd love to see one for real. Oh, why are you throwing all of these treasures away?
Olive pointed at a pile of sand containing lots of sparkly gems and jewels.
Oh, what treasure.
Said Horace. Olive held up a crystal, and Horace had a really close look at it.
Oh, you're right.
Said Horace.
I can't see a thing. I've lost my glasses somewhere in the desert.
Olive looked around and had a think.
Shiny crystals. An old whip. I think I may have an idea. There you go, Horace.
Said Olive. She had tied the whip around Horace's head, looping 2 crystals on it to make a pair of glasses.
Oh, I can see. I can see.
Horace cried. He was jumping for joy. But Horace's jumping had loosened the ground. It started to crack beneath their feet. Olive and Horace fell through the ground and disappeared.
Are you okay, Horace?
Asked Olive as she dusted herself down.
Yes, I'm all right.
Exclaimed Olive as she looked around in wonder. The room was full of all sorts of ancient Egyptian treasures.
Oh, back home again. That's a shortcut I've never used before. And I was close to my mummy all along. Mummy!
Cried Horace as he rushed to give his mummy a really big hug.
Welcome home, dear.
Said Horace's mum.
Oh! So you meant you were looking for your actual mummy, Horace. Nice to meet you, Mrs. Molius. I have to say, you look much younger than the mummy I was expecting. I thought we were looking for one of these.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Actually, I've been in Egypt looking for mummies.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. She popped up somewhere new. Olive saw beautiful plants and flowers everywhere. She was in the jungle. Olive was wearing an explorer's hat and boots. She had a camera and a magnifying glass.
I have everything I need to explore this place.
She was about to set off when she noticed something odd. Some leaves which seemed to float along above the ground. Olive took out her magnifying glass and looked closer at the leaves.
Those leaves aren't floating. Tiny ants are carrying them to their anthill.
Olive photographed the ants and walked off into the trees. First, she passed a splashing waterfall. Olive took a photo with her camera. Next, she passed an enormous blue flower. She took a photo of that too. Finally, she found herself on a cliff top where she took a photo of the spectacular view. Olive thought she'd stop to take a rest. Suddenly, she heard a little voice.
I'm lost. Could you please help me find my way back home?
Olive turned and saw a brightly coloured parrot.
Well, sure. I'd love to help you. I'm Olive.
Well, sure. I'd love to help you. I'm Olive.
Olive was confused.
No, my name's Olive. What's yours?
No, my name's Olive. What's yours?
Wait, why are you repeating everything I say?
Wait, why are you repeating everything I say?
I'm sorry. I should probably be getting on my way.
I'm sorry. I should probably be getting on my way. No, please don't go. I really am lost. My name is Anthony the Ant, and I really want to go home.
I think you're a parrot, not an ant.
I think you're a parrot.
Okay, that's enough.
Said Olive. Olive held a magnifying glass up to the parrot's face, and sitting on top of the parrot's head was a tiny little ant.
You see, I'm using the parrot to talk for me because my voice is so tiny and quiet.
Olive plucked the ant carefully from the parrot's head, and the parrot flew away.
It's good to meet you, Anthony. Maybe I can help you find your way home.
Well, I live in a huge ant hill. Have you seen it?
You mean like this one?
Yes, that's my home. Can you take me there, Olive?
Olive wasn't sure she knew which direction to take. It was then she remembered all the other photos she'd taken while walking all day, and could see she had made footprints as she walked.
A trail of footprints showing where I came from. And lots of photographs. I think I may have an idea.
Olive placed Anthony on her shoulder and began walking back, retracing the footprints she'd left.
If I look through my photos, I can find your anthill, Anthony.
Using the photos, she walked back past the spectacular view, then past the enormous blue flower, and then past the splashing waterfall. Finally, Olive and Anthony arrived back at the anthill. Loads of ants came out to welcome him home. They were so pleased, they picked Olive up and cheered.
I think I might be getting ants in my pants.
Exclaimed Olive. Olive and the ants all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay. Actually, I helped an ant in the jungle.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Popped up somewhere new. Olive was wearing a white shirt, a black suit jacket and a bow tie. She was in a huge kitchen. Chefs in tall white hats running around, one using a large metal spoon to ladle soup out of a huge steaming pot, and another icing a big cake with a piping bag.
Okay. This is a really busy place.
She could hear someone smashing plates, and she went off to see what was happening. She noticed a rosy-cheeked manager surrounded by broken plates.
Oh, hello.
Said Olive.
Ah, bonjour, mademoiselle.
Said the manager.
My name's not Mademoiselle, it's Olive. Pleased to meet you. Are you okay?
I'm Pierre Petitpois, and it is the opening night of my restaurant Le Mange Tout.
Well, that's great.
Exclaimed Olive.
Oui, but the head waiter has not turned up, and the famous food critic Monsieur Le Croc is coming. How am I going to serve everyone their food on my own? C'est impossible.
Oh, dear. Well, I could help you, but you'll need to show me what to do.
Said Olive.
What a magnifique idea.
So Pierre showed Olive how to serve like a real waitress. She had to hold a tray with one hand, pour grape juice into a glass with another, meanwhile serving the finest sausage and mashed potato with 2 silver spoons.
Oh, heck. I'm not sure I'm very good at this.
Said Olive.
Oh, quel dommage. This will never work. We need to go faster.
Faster?
Thought Olive. Just then, Olive remembered all the equipment from the kitchen.
A silver ladle? A piping bag? I think I may have an idea.
Olive went to fetch the 2 items from the kitchen.
When it's time to serve the food, you hold up the customer's plates and I'll catapult the sausage and mashed potato onto them. Then I'll squirt the grape juice from the piping bag into the glasses. We should be able to serve them all in no time.
Olive, this idea is fantastic.
Very soon, the restaurant was full of hungry customers. So Olive and Pierre got to work, catapulting, catching, aiming and squirting. The food critic, Monsieur Le Croc, had arrived and was sitting, waiting for his dinner. It was all going so well until Olive began to serve the food a little too fast and Pierre couldn't keep up.
Olive, you must slow down,
Warned Pierre.
or something bad is going to...
But before he could finish, Olive catapulted the mashed potato into the food critic Monsieur Le Croc's face and the sausage into his mouth. The whole restaurant fell silent.
Monsieur Le Croc, I'm ever so sorry. Are you okay?
Monsieur Le Croc didn't move for a second. Then he took a big bite of his sausage and licked his lips.
Magnifique. I have never seen service like it. I award Le Mange Tout the highest honor, la Golden Fork.
Pierre could not believe it.
Oh, mademoiselle, you saved the day.
All in a day's work, Pierre. But my name's Olive.
They both laughed. And as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay. Actually, I've been a waitress in the finest French restaurant.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. She popped up somewhere new. Olive was standing on a steep slope covered in crunchy white snow. It was very cold. She was wearing a thick, puffy coat and a bobble hat.
I'm glad I've got these warm clothes.
Oh, yes, you can say that again.
Said a voice. Olive turned to see a little man with a huge bushy beard. He was only wearing a vest and pants. He was shivering quite a lot.
I'm Olive. Pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Sir Edmund Hillertop, a famous mountaineer. I climb all the tallest mountains.
Oh, so is this a tall mountain?
Tall? Olive, old bean, this is Mount Everest, the tallest mountain in the world, and I'm climbing to the summit.
But, Sir Edmund, what's happened to all your clothes? Aren't you cold?
Oh, there was this huge gust of wind. It blew away all my warm clothes, along with my map, compass, and packed lunch. So now I'm rather chilly, hungry, and lost.
Well, I'm not sure how to help. I'm no mountaineer.
Suddenly, there was an enormous growl. Out from behind a rock jumped a huge, fairy, man-shaped thing. It was growling, and it didn't sound at all happy to see them.
No! That's the infamous Yeti! Run for it before he eats us for his dinner! Wait! He's got my map, compass, and packed lunch! Oi! Give those back!
Oh, I think that's the last we'll see of those. Oh dear. I think he's still hungry. Maybe he's going to eat us next.
She had to think fast.
Sir Edmund, do you have any food at all?
Well, I do have my emergency cupcake. Always keep one tucked away.
A cupcake? A hungry Yeti? I think I may have an idea.
Olive took the cupcake from Sir Edmund and held it out to the Yeti. The Yeti grabbed the cupcake and gobbled it down.
Yum.
Said the Yeti. He seemed very happy.
Oh, I think he wants your poles too, Edmund.
Said Olive. Edmund handed them over. The Yeti used them as needles to knit a long scarf out of his own fur. He gave it to Edmund. Edmund wrapped the scarf around himself.
Well, thanks very much. This Yeti scarf really is very warm.
I think he wants to lead us to the summit of Everest.
Said Olive. So Olive and Sir Edmund followed the Yeti all the way to the summit.
We've conquered Everest!
Beamed Sir Edmund.
And you're the first ever ostrich to climb it. Congratulations, Olive.
That's lovely. But how do we get down again?
Suddenly, the Yeti gave Olive and Sir Edmund a push. They went sliding all the way down Mount Everest on their bottoms, and the Yeti slid down behind. Cried Olive as she slid. At the bottom, they ended up in a snowdrift.
Oh, that was fun.
Thanks so much for all your help, Olive.
I think you've got yourself a new mountain climbing best friend forever.
Chuckled Olive. They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Bagek. Actually, I climbed Mount Everest and met a yeti.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Well, she popped up somewhere new. Olive was in a small, dimly lit room. In front of her were lots of buttons and levers and colourful flashing lights.
Where am I?
Some lights shone out over a beautiful underwater world outside the window.
Bagek, what a view.
There were hundreds and hundreds of fish swimming around in front of an enormous blue canyon.
Oh, I'm in a submarine deep in the ocean. I can't wait to explore.
Olive pushed a big red lever marked forward and the submarine dived deep down into the canyon. Olive spotted the opening to a cave.
Interesting.
Said Olive as she drove her submarine right into the cave.
It's even darker in here than it was before.
Olive drove through a big patch of seaweed.
Oh no, now I can't see where I'm going.
The seaweed suddenly came to life and picked up the submarine.
Ow.
Then in the headlights loomed the big green face of an octopus.
Hello.
Bubbled the octopus.
Bagek, who are you?
My name's Jonah. I've been trapped inside this whale for days. It's so good to finally meet someone new.
My name's Olive. But what do you mean, trapped inside the whale? I just drove into a cave.
Oh no, that was a huge whale's mouth you drove into, Olive. And now he's closed it shut. There's no escape.
Bagek, that doesn't sound good. We need to make the whale open his mouth again. Maybe I could turn my engines all the way up, and then the bubbles will make the whale cough. Then we can escape when he opens his mouth.
Olive turned the submarine's engines onto full power, and the water started to bubble up.
Oh, that didn't work.
But then the bubbles Olive had made tickled Jonah on the tummy.
Oh, those bubbles tickle.
An octopus with 8 legs. Tickling? I think I may have an idea. Jonah, if you use all your legs, you can tickle the inside of the whale's stomach and make him laugh. Then we can escape through his mouth.
Oh, I think that might just work.
He stretched out his 8 long arms and began to tickle the whale's tummy.
Tickle harder! Tickle harder!
Cried Olive. Jonah tickled as fast as he could. A wall of bubbles started rushing down the tunnel towards Olive and Jonah.
Watch out!
Bagek! What's happening?
I think we might be going out of the top.
The top?
Olive and Jonah were fired out of the whale's blowhole, up high in the sky. Then they started to fall back towards the water. Jonah clung to Olive's submarine with his 8 tentacles as they fell. His body inflated like a parachute, drifting them both gently down to the surface of the water.
Well, that was a lovely, gentle landing.
Oh, thanks so much, Olive. I'm free at last.
That's okay. I think we've all had a whale of a time.
They both laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been helping an octopus escape a whale.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. It was a big room with red carpet, lots of pictures on the walls, and a funny-shaped object with 3 metal legs on display.
Oh, hey, this all looks very posh.
Said Olive. She was in the foyer of a cinema. Olive went up close to look at the funny-shaped object on its metal legs.
This is a film camera,
Said a man as he walked into the foyer. He was wearing a gleaming white suit with black buttons.
Oh, hello, I'm Olive. You look very smart.
Nice to meet you, Olive. My name is Steve Battenberg. I am the cinema manager, and tonight is the big film premiere of our new blockbuster movie, A Winter Wonderland.
Oh, great. I love a good blockbuster.
So do I. But I lost the last scene of the movie, and I still need to make all the popcorn. Everyone will be arriving soon. What am I gonna do?
Well, why don't I help you?
Great idea, Olive. Hey, maybe you could make the popcorn for me.
So Mr. Battenberg showed Olive how to make the popcorn. You had to put corn into the machine and turn it on.
Well, I should be okay with that. I'll just put the popcorn in here.
But she put the entire bag of corn into the popcorn machine in one go.
You can never make too much popcorn. Well, I think we're all sorted.
But what should we do about the last scene of the movie? Without it, the audience won't know how the film ends.
What happens in it, Mr. Battenberg?
It's a beautiful winter's day. The snow is falling from the sky, and the snowman winks to the camera and smiles.
Olive looked around the foyer and spied the film camera.
A film camera? Your white suit with black buttons? I think I may have an idea. Mr. Battenberg, does the film camera work?
Yes, I believe it does. To record, you just press the button with the red circle on it.
And action!
So Olive and Mr. Battenberg began filming. But something wasn't quite right.
Oh dear, we still don't have any snow.
Suddenly, the popcorn machine started rumbling. Pop, pop, pop! All the popcorn came flying out of the machine into the air.
Oh, no!
Said Mr. Battenberg.
I think you put too much corn in, Olive.
Don't worry, it's just what we need. On camera, it looks exactly like snow.
So Mr. Battenberg winked and smiled to the camera and looked just like a snowman on a beautiful snowy winter's day.
Oh, Olive, what a great idea. But what about all the popcorn? How are we going to serve it to the customers now?
But the customers loved the idea of snowing popcorn and simply caught it in their popcorn buckets. They were all very excited as the film was about to start.
The film is better than the real thing.
Whispered Mr. Battenberg.
And all down to Olive, the director.
That really was a great film.
Said Olive.
Although, I had a pretty good idea of how it was going to end.
They both laughed. And as they did,
you're right.
Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Heck, actually, I've been a film director.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Well, she popped up somewhere new. Olive was standing in a big room, surrounded by huge skeletons.
Heck, these are very impressive.
Olive saw a little old man dusting one of the skeletons.
Hello, I'm Olive.
Oh, hello. My name's Terry Dactyl. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. What is this amazing place, Terry?
Well, Olive, this is a museum, and these are dinosaur skeletons. Dinosaurs used to roam our planet millions of years ago.
Where? That's a long time.
Oh, yes, and it's my job to keep these spotless. I could really use some help tonight dusting them.
I'd love to help you, Terry.
Thanks, Olive. We have to be very careful, though. They're extremely delicate.
So Olive and Terry got to work dusting the bones. But all of a sudden, Olive spotted a shadow moving. It looked like one of the dinosaur skeletons.
Hey, the skeleton's alive!
Olive turned and ran away, but she wasn't looking where she was going.
Olive, watch out!
Cried Terry. Too late.
Yeah!
Olive ran straight into another skeleton, and all the bones collapsed. Those bones tumbled into the next skeleton, and it fell over too. then the next, and the next, until every skeleton had tumbled into a huge pile of bones on the floor.
Oops, sorry.
Said Olive.
Olive, what have you done? The museum opens soon and everybody will want to see the dinosaurs.
Sorry, I saw a dinosaur move over there and it scared me.
Standing next to the pile of bones stood a rather sheepish-looking boy wearing a dinosaur mask.
Oh, that's my son, Jerry Dactyl. What have I told you about creeping up on people wearing that mask? I'm sorry, Olive. No wonder you were scared. I'm sorry too,
said Jerry.
That's okay, Jerry.
But how am I ever going to put all these skeletons back together? It's impossible. Would you like to see my dinosaur drawings, Olive? Look, I've done every single skeleton in the museum.
These are really good. Drawings? Piles of bones? I think I may have an idea. Jerry, we can use your pictures to help us rebuild all the skeletons. I'm sure we'll be finished before the museum opens.
Great idea, Olive. Let's do it.
So they got started.
There, Dad.
But it was like a huge puzzle. It really wasn't easy to work out where the bones were meant to go,
Put this one here.
Something's not quite right.
said Olive.
Too late. The museum has just opened. Here comes the first tour group.
And here on your right is the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and as you can see, it had absolutely huge wings.
Oh!
And over here is the Brontosaurus with its two tails.
Ah!
That's enough of the dinosaurs. Let's move on, shall we?
Phew, I think we got away with it, Olive.
I think we've created some brand new dinosaurs, like the Tyrannosaurus Rex.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Okay, actually, I've been rebuilding dinosaur skeletons.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Till she popped up somewhere new. It was a wet and grey autumn day, and Olive jumped out of a big pile of leaves. She was wearing a pair of green Wellington boots and a big yellow raincoat. Olive looked around and realised she was in an impressive garden.
This garden must belong to someone very special.
She was standing near a little shed. Next to the shed leaned an old tandem bike and some planks of wood. The shed door opened and out walked a badger.
Careful there, lassie. I've been tidying leaves to make the garden respectable before the Queen arrives to stay in her castle for the winter. She'll be here soon. It's going to be hard enough to finish in time without having you spread the leaves all over the place again.
I'm so sorry, sir. I'm Olive. Maybe I could give you a hand tidying the leaves.
Oh, well, thank you. You're an angel, dear. I'm Frank McBadger. I'm Her Majesty the Queen's personal gardener. We'll use these rakes to tidy the leaves up into one big pile.
Olive and Frank got to work. They raced against the clock to finish before the Queen arrived. It was hard work, but eventually all the leaves were in one huge pile.
Oh, thank you, Olive. Job well done.
But as they stood admiring their work, a big gust of wind blew the pile of leaves all over the garden again.
Oh, no, we're doomed,
cried Frank.
There's no time to tidy the leaves up again before the Queen arrives.
Olive looked around the garden.
An old tandem bike, some planks. I think I may have an idea.
Olive took 3 planks and put them together in a star shape. Then she attached them to the old tandem bike, where the missing back wheel used to be.
Ooh. Come on, Frank. Let's get on the tandem and start pedalling.
Frank was puzzled, but he sat down behind Olive on the tandem bike. They both started pedalling.
Faster, Frank, faster!
Olive and Frank's feet were spinning faster than they had ever done before, and it made the planks of wood spin around like a huge fan. This blew all the leaves in the garden high up into the air.
It's working, Olive. We're tidying up the leaves,
cried Frank. But Olive and Frank couldn't believe it. All the leaves had landed on top of the castle, almost burying it.
Egg! We didn't want that to happen.
Oh, no. Here comes Her Majesty.
What's been going on here, then?
Asked the Queen.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Your Majesty. She doesn't look happy.
He whispered to Olive.
Frank, this is marvellous, splendid, fabulous.
It is?
Said Olive, confused.
Oh, yes. Last winter, this old castle was freezing cold. What a splendid idea to use all the autumn leaves to keep the castle nice and warm.
Oh, well, don't thank me. Thank Olive here, Your Majesty. It was all her idea.
Oh, I see. Well done, Olive.
Olive curtsied before the Queen.
Why, thank you, Your Majesty. But it's probably time for me to leave.
They all laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
Said her mum.
Egg! Actually, I've been tidying up leaves in the Queen's garden.
Your head's been in the sun too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure. Until she popped up somewhere new. Olive was standing on the deck of a huge wooden sailing ship in the middle of the sea.
Egg! Look at all that water.
Ahoy there!
Olive saw a cat wearing a dashing outfit and a sailor's hat.
Welcome aboard. I'm Captain Chris Columbus, the most famous explorer in all of the 7 seas.
Hello, my name's Olive. I've never met a famous explorer before.
Olive, you don't have any food on you, do you? Me and my crew are absolutely starving.
Olive turned around to see a chubby bulldog and a Jack Russell.
Oh, hello.
These are my trusty shipmates, Bully the cook and Master Jack Russell, the deckhand.
We're really hungry.
Complained Jack.
I'm sorry. What happened to all your food?
A few days ago, we sailed through a terrible storm. An enormous wave washed all our food overboard, along with my map of the 7 seas.
Now we're down to our very last tiny piece of stale bread.
Said Bully sadly.
Oh dear, that's not going to fill you up.
Said Olive.
And without my map, we're lost and can't find our way back home.
I'm not very good with maps and directions, but maybe I can find you something to eat.
Olive looked at Bully's vest and Jack's mop.
A mop? A string vest? I think I may have an idea.
Olive tugged on a loose end of Bully's vest. It unravelled into a long piece of string, which she tied to the end of the mop.
Oh, what's that for?
Asked the confused Captain Chris.
It's a fishing rod. We can use it to catch fish for dinner. I just need something to get the fish to bite.
Olive spotted the last scrap of bread in the basket. She tied it to the end of the fishing line and threw it in the water. Oh! Cried the crew.
Our last scrap of bread.
You'll just have to wait.
So they waited, and they waited. All their tummies rumbled because they were so hungry. After what seemed like ages, there was a tug on the line. Olive pulled a massive fish out of the sea.
Hooray for Olive!
Hooray! Cheered the crew. Olive caught fish after fish and all sorts of other tasty sea creatures. Then, suddenly, Olive felt one almighty tug.
Oh, help!
The crew all grabbed hold of the rod and together they pulled out a huge whale who immediately sneezed and from its blowhole gushed a spout of seawater with a map on top.
My map! Now we're no longer lost. Let's celebrate.
Woohoo!
So Bully cooked the biggest fishy feast ever. They ate and ate until they could eat no more.
Would you like any dessert, Olive? Jellyfish and ice cream?
Oh, no, thank you. Just the thought of it makes me feel all wobbly.
Everyone laughed, and as they did, Olive realised it was time to go.
Typical Olive, daydreaming again.
said her mum.
Actually, I've been sailing on the high seas.
Your head's been in the sand too long, dear.
Said Olive's dad. Her little brother laughed. But Olive wasn't listening. She was already dreaming of her next big adventure.